Hi, welcome to High Road, and in this video today I'm going to show you how to play an A minor chord, but if you just want the quick version, here it is. Alright, in case you want to skip ahead, this video is going to cover the following 4 topics. What notes is an A minor chord made from, how to read it from a chord diagram, how to actually play it, and some advanced techniques to get your A minor chord to sound as good as it can. Okay, so what notes is an A minor chord made from? It's made from the notes A, C, and E. This is what that sounds like on the guitar. A, E, another A, C, and another E. By the way, A minor is always written as capital A, lowercase m for A minor. So a chord diagram is a picture of your guitar looking from this angle. The vertical lines are the strings and the horizontal lines are the frets. The double line at the top is the nut. And by the way, on guitar we number the fingers 1, 2, 3, 4. If you play piano, that can be confusing because on piano, thumb is 1, but not on guitar. Lastly, at the top of the chord diagram, you'll see circles and crosses. Circles indicate open strings, which are supposed to just ring freely, and the crosses are strings that you should not play. You can either mute them or just not hit them. Now, when you're interpreting a chord diagram, you've got to learn how to flip that image around in your mind the way you see it when you're playing. So this is what you see on the diagram, but this is what you see when you look down at your guitar. So you have to learn to actually flip that around mentally, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. Alright, well let me show you how to play it. Finger 1 goes on fret 1 of string 2. Then finger 2 goes on fret 2 of string 4. And finger 3 goes on fret 2 of string 3. Then you strum from string 5 to 1. I should point out that on most chord diagrams, string 6 actually has a cross over it, which means don't play. String 6 is basically an optional note because it's actually another E. And we've already got 2 E's in the chord. So it's compatible with an A minor chord, but an A minor chord sounds best when A is the lowest note of the chord. So here's what it sounds like with A as the lowest note. And here's what it sounds like with E as the lowest note. Now I'll admit they sound quite similar. And if you're a beginner, your ears might not be able to hear any difference at all. But as your ears mature and you develop in your musicianship, hopefully you'll be able to hear the distinction, and you'll be able to hear that the A minor version with the A on the bottom does sound a lot more pure and sounds more like A minor than what the one with the E on the bottom does. Okay, let's talk about some advanced techniques that you can use to make your A minor chord sound as good as it can. The first thing you should do is get all your fingers as close to the frets as possible. That way you don't have to press as hard and you're more likely to get a good sound. Now it's not really possible to get finger 2 right up behind the fret because it's jammed up next to finger 3. So you just have to remember to press that finger a little bit harder and it should be fine. I also recommend that you push your hand really far forward so that your fingers can get right up on the fingertips, and it's okay to have gentle contact underneath the bottom of the neck. Now I mentioned earlier that you don't really want to hit string 6 if you can help it. So the only way to really avoid string 6, apart from strumming really carefully, which is almost impossible to do, is you take your thumb in the left hand, you wrap it over the back of the neck, and gently just touch that string, and that will mute it. So now it doesn't make any sound. Even if you hit it, it's not going to make any sound. So here's what it sounds like without my thumb, and this is what it sounds like with my thumb. Hopefully you can hear the difference. Now some teachers would frown upon putting your thumb over the back of the neck like that, and I can see their point, but in honesty, with rhythm guitar playing, that's simply what everyone does. It's very unrealistic to just expect to be able to strum accurately enough not to hit string 6. So if you look at anyone who's a good player, from Hendrix to Tommy Emmanuel to John Mayer to anyone really, if you watch their left hand, if you watch the way they play chords, they're often using their thumb to mute the bottom string. There's nothing wrong with it if you do it the right way. You obviously need to have a hand big enough to do it, but essentially if you're hooking over the back of the neck and it's becoming a bad habit, then you might have a problem. But if you can do it deliberately and it doesn't affect your other fingers in any way, and it's not really causing extra tension in your left hand, then it's a good thing to do. The next thing I should mention is how important it is that you strum correctly to get the right sound. You could be doing everything right with your left hand, but if you're strumming in a bad way, you're still going to get a terrible sound. A lot of beginners, for some reason, hit the bass strings really heavily, and this is the sound that they might get. This is the sound you should get. So I would recommend that you avoid strumming from your elbow, which is going to create a slicing motion across the strings. What you should do instead is use a curved pick motion from the wrist, and then you're more likely to be able to get a balanced sound across the strings. The other thing I'll mention is that you can do an alternate fingering. Instead of using fingers 1, 2, 3, you can use fingers 2, 3 and 4 on the same notes. And that's how you play an A minor chord.